Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Chauncey Martin Field. It is week 3 of the high school football season, and we have a great matchup for you tonight. Two of the top teams in Class AA. It is your Pelican Rapids Vikings coming into this evening as the 11th ranked team in state, and they are playing host to the defending state champions, the Barnesville Trojans, who are currently ranked first in Class AA. The Trojans are coming in rocking a 15-game winning streak. They were undefeated 13-0 last year on their way to a state championship. The Vikings coming in last season losing in the second round of the playoffs. Last time we were at home, I called them the Redeem Team. That is their goal this year, to go out and redeem themselves. Both teams come into tonight with 2-0 records. They are both 1-0 in Section 8AA and 1-0 in the HOL North Conference. Starters this evening, first for the Barnesville Trojan defense, number 3, sophomore Major Ness. Number 4, senior Zachary Bredman. Number 25, senior Asher O'Brien. Number 34, senior Peyton Amundson. 45, senior Ethan Larson. Number 53, a senior Noah Stanford. Number 54, junior Nicholas Robidoux. Number 58, senior Tyler Drees. Number 68, junior Aiden Kent. Number 75, senior Justin Kruger. And rounding out their starting roster, junior number 82, Brendan Torkeldson. For your Pelican Rapids Vikings, their offensive starters. Number 2 at running back, junior Mark Kappinga. Number 3, junior in the slot position, Trayvon Benson. Number 4, running back, junior Jack Kappinga. Number 7, starting at quarterback, senior Jack Paulson. Number 13, senior at tight end, Ethan Schustrom. Number 57, the senior guard, Caden Holt. Number 70 at center, senior Jarrett Stetz. 71, senior tackle, Chris Laferriere. Number 72, guard, Alex Tabery, the senior. And junior tackle, 73, Willem Pesch. Rounding out the roster for the Vikings, number 83, he is a senior tight end, Justin Jacobson. As I said, these two teams coming in, both ranked highly in the Class AA rankings. It doesn't get any higher than Barnesville. They won state last year. They are the top-ranked team in state for Class AA as we enter the third week of play. Pelican Rapids has moved up to 11th and is set to kick off in their second game at Chauncey Martin Field this season. Last year, these two teams met right back on this field. Barnesville came away quite resounding with a 43-0 win. You know that they are coming into tonight hoping for that repeat performance, and for the Vikings, there is your bulletin board material right there. Last year's score against this team, you get them back on your home field with a chance to redeem yourself tonight. It is a beautiful night at Chauncey Martin Field. It is a cool 68 degrees with just a slight breeze. Justin Jacobson tees it up. He will kick off for the Vikings from their 40-yard line. Barnesville, going back to 2014, has won the last 8 meetings between these two teams. And we are off. Jacobson sends it down to the Trojan 11. It is fielded by number 45, Ethan Larson, and he is met instantly at the Trojan 21-yard line. The ref will spot it up at the 24, and that is where Barnesville will start this evening. As I mentioned, going back to 2014, Barnesville has won the last 8 meetings, including 2 years ago, fall of 2021. These two teams met in the section championship game. Barnesville once again coming out on top. The last time the Pelican Vikings won was 2014 by a score of 27-26. The Trojans start from their 24. That is their quarterback, number 4, Zachary Bredman, on the quarterback keeper, and he will fall forward for a gain of 4.5. It'll be second and a long 5 for the Trojans. The Trojans will hit you with a lot of talent. Just last week, they were up in Roseau, where they came away with a cool 36-0 victory over the Roseau Rams. They had 4 players, all with over 40 yards rushing and a touchdown. That would be Ness, Halverson, O'Brien, and Larson. And this time, the ball goes right up the middle and sniffed out well by the Vikings. That was Asher O'Brien, the senior, on the carry. And you're really going to have to try to follow the ball. These Trojans run a lot of different types of option plays, and they carry out a lot of different fakes very well following these handoffs. It's going to be a lot for the Viking defense to handle tonight, but right off the bat, our first third down of the evening, it is 3rd and 4 from the Trojan 31-yard line. 3 men backfield for the Trojans. Bredman takes the snap, and he's going to give on the dive. It is sniffed out by the Vikings, but falling forward for, I believe, first down yardage is number 54. Number 45, that was Ethan Larson. And he gets just enough for the Trojan first down. Larson was one of those players with about 5 carries for 50-plus yards and a touchdown last week in Roseau. They can beat you with a lot of different men in the backfield. It is this 3 running back set as Bredman goes underneath the center. This time, Bredman is going to fake and keep himself on a sweep to the outside, and a nice tackle by Jack Paulson. A flag does fly at the end of that play, but a really nice open field tackle by number 7, the senior, Jack Paulson. It's a gain of 4, pending the result of this first flag of the game. Our officials conversing. And it does appear it is going to go against the Trojans as they are backing themselves up. That is, in fact, a hold against the Trojans. That's number 53, Noah Stanford, the senior that they caught. That will back them up 10 yards from the spot of the foul. We will repeat first down. It is 1st and 15 for the Trojans from their own 30-yard line. Both of these 2 teams are in the HOL North Conference. They are both in Section 8AA. A very important game for both teams at this early 3-week point of the season. Bredman takes the snap and hands off to Ness, who tries the right side, and he can hit the corner and is dragged down. Ball is free and fallen on, it appears, by the Vikings. And they will take over in Trojan position. That is Major Ness on that carry. He is a sophomore. He had a very nice gain to the right side of close to 12 yards, but at the end coughed it up. And I don't know exactly which Viking fell on it. It did appear as if one of the Viking secondary was Johnny on the spot on that ball. And right off the bat, a huge play from the Viking defense. And they will start with excellent field position from the Trojan 43-yard line. 2 weeks ago when we saw the Vikings on this field, they went with a quarterback by committee with Jack Paulson and sophomore McLean Hovland in the backfield at quarterback. Since then, Jack Paulson has appeared to earn the starting position and the vast majority of the snaps at quarterback. That is Trey Benson in motion. Paulson takes the snap, fakes to Kappinga, and will keep himself falling forward for a modest 2-yard gain. It is 2nd and 8. The Vikings run a lot of shotgun. Typically, with junior Jack Kappinga in the backfield, they will at times motion one of their slot men, sometimes Benson, into the backfield. It is Paulson. Here is Benson again. This time he gives to Kappinga. He's got a lane up the middle, and an ankle tackle will bring down Kappinga right at the first down marker. I believe he will be half a yard shy. It's going to be third down and short for the Vikings. Paulson has really meshed well with Kappinga. I complimented the Trojan backfield on never being able to tell quite where the ball is. Paulson and Kappinga and that Viking backfield also do a very good job of disguising their plays and their option reads. That is Benson in motion. Paulson with the snap. He goes to Kappinga right up the middle. He's got first down yardage and then some. He will fall forward to the Trojan 26. And that will move the chains for the Vikings' first down of the evening. The Vikings try to usually be pretty quick to the line, especially when they have picked up a first down. This time it did seem like it took a little bit longer to get that play call in. It is Paulson all alone in the backfield. He fakes to Mark Kappinga and is hauled down right at the line of scrimmage. Excuse me, that was a fake to Jack Kappinga, with Paulson keeping himself falling forward for 1 yard. It'll be 2nd down and 9. The Vikings typically do not go with any type of extra point or field goal unit, and so from this part of the field, barring any major negative plays, the Vikings are in 4-down territory. Paulson with Kappinga behind him takes the snap and gives to Jack Kappinga right up the middle, and he falls forward to the Trojan 17-yard line. A very nice 2nd down pickup of 6, and that's going to lead to 3rd and about 3 yards for the Vikings. Paulson from the shotgun. He's got Benson and senior wide receiver Luke Soley to his right. That's Jack Kappinga in the backfield. Paulson takes the shotgun snap. It's over his head, and all he can do is fall on it to try to maintain possession. I said the Vikings really can't take any type of negative play here, and that is what they do, pushing them back to now 4th down and 13. That's a loss of about 10 on that play. Just a mistake that really cannot happen as you are approaching the opponent's red zone. It is now 4th and 13. And again, the Vikings, no field goal unit, and really not a position where you are going to try to punt the ball. And so the Vikings are going to go for it here on 4th and long. It is Luke Soley to Paulson's right. He's got 2 men to his left. That's Kappinga in motion. Paulson drops back to pass. He will throw across the middle, and too high. He was looking for Justin Jacobson, and it would have taken a darn near perfect pass from Paulson to find Jacobson there. And the Vikings will turn it over on downs and pass it back to the Trojans at their own 30-yard line. The Vikings did appear to have something going that drive, but that botched snap from senior Jarrett Stetz to Paulson pushed them back on 3rd and short, and the Vikings could not convert on 4th down. We are midway through the first quarter, just over 6 minutes to play here at Chauncey Martin Field. And the Trojans take over for their 2nd possession of the game. That's Bredman under center. He gives to number 25. That is Asher O'Brien, the senior. And Asher will pick up about 4 yards on 1st down. Both teams coming into tonight with 2-0 records. The Vikings got their season started at home against Breck 2 weeks ago with a 28-14 victory, and then last Thursday made the long drive up to Warroad and came away with a resounding 48-0 win over the Warroad Warriors. That's Bredman again. He gives to Ness, and Ness is dragged down in the Trojan backfield. That was number 83, Justin Jacobson, who read that play like a book for the Vikings. It is going to be 3rd down and 7 for the Trojans. Barnesville also 2-0 to start their season. They started off with a very difficult Week 1 matchup against the DGF Rebels, who themselves made it to the Class 3A state finals last year as the runner-up. They came away with a 14-7 win versus DGF. And then they also made a long trek up north to the Canadian border. They took on the Roseau Rams last week and also came away with a shutout, a 36-0 victory. It is 3rd and 7. The handoff is going to go right up the middle, and breaking tackles is number 45, Ethan Larson. The Vikings did have a chance to bring him down shy of the 1st down, but he kept his legs churning and his pads low to the ground and picks up the 1st down and then some. It is going to be 1st down and 10 for the Trojans. That is their first down of this ball game. They are up to their 46. Clock ticks underneath 4 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first quarter. A 3-man backfield. That has been the primary position the Trojans have ran so far this evening. Bredman takes the snap, and he will hand off. It is number 45, Ethan Larson again. And Larson will pick up a first down gain of 4 yards. It is 2nd and 6 for the Trojans. In Warroad last week, along route to that 48-0 win, Jack Kappinga tallied 167 total yards out of the Viking backfield, and including 4 touchdowns along the way. Jack Paulson also totaled 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground and 1 through the air for the Vikings. 2nd down and 7. Bredman takes the snap, and he will keep, and sniffed out again by the Vikings. I believe that was Chris Laferriere on the tackle, as well as 57, Caden Holt. 3rd down and 7 again. This is where the Trojans found themselves 3 downs ago. They went to Ethan Larson, who broke a couple tackles on his way to a first down. We'll see what they come up with here, as they are right at their 49-yard line. It is Ness, O'Brien, and Larson in the backfield. Bredman takes the handoff, and he will pitch to Ness on the option, and Ness is stopped shy of the first down. He picks up about 3 yards. That will bring up 4th down and 4. That is the first time that we have seen that look out of that 3-man backfield. Little option read there, and he went to the sophomore Ness. It is 4th and 4. They have just crossed into Viking territory. And I'm waiting to see if the Trojans are going to come out in a punt formation or if they are going to go for it. The Vikings do have 2 men back as if this is going to be a punt. And it does appear that is the look the Trojans are going to give. That is number 45, Ethan Larson, back to punt. Of course, got to keep your eye on him, as he is one of that 3-headed running back tandem for the Trojans. He will punt here. End-over-end punt that bounces and takes a Trojan hop at the 24. Touched by Benson. He has to pick it up, and he will be dragged down immediately. All things considered, not a terrible result there for the Vikings. That was going to take a Trojan bounce, and if Benson did not get it, it would have gone even deeper into Viking territory. As it stands, the Vikings will take over at their own 16-yard line. We are at 1 minute and 43 seconds to go in this first quarter. The score still 0-0. This Barnesville team is head coached by Brian Strand and assisted by Philip Trowbridge, Nathan Strand, Dane Buer, Michael Strand, Adam Tonsfeld, Jacob LaGrose, Kirk Peterson, and Aaron Schindler. As the Vikings on first down will give to Jack Kappinga, and he will pick up about 4 yards. For the Vikings, they are head coached by Eli Beachy. He is in his 3rd year at the helm of this Vikings football team. He is assisted by Ryan Beachy, Hayden Sturdivant, Chris Hacker, Mitch Verdoren, Paul Sturdivant, Jensen Beachy, and Rick Courtwright. It is Jack Paulson from the shotgun. He gives to Kappinga again, and this time Kappinga is brought down right at the line of scrimmage. I believe that was number 28, Colin Morey, for the Trojans on that stop. And that will bring up 3rd down and long, 3rd and 8 for the Vikings. They are from their 18-yard line. We typically see the Vikings look to pass on these 3rd and long, but they are coming out with more of a tight formation. That is Miguel Torres in motion. Paulson will take the snap, and he will shuffle pass to Trayvon Benson underneath, and the Trojans sniffed that out well. Benson will only be able to pick up 1 yard. The Vikings tried to go with a little trickery there. But it will bring up 4th down and 7 for the Vikings, and that will bring on the Viking punt unit. That is number 11, junior Channing Russman, who handles the punting duties for the Vikings. And we're going to see, I believe the Vikings are probably going to just let this play clock wind down. We are at 6 seconds to go in the first quarter, and it does seem that they are both content to let this first quarter clock wind down. We are at zeros for the first quarter. It is 0-0. Both teams had 2 chances with the ball in that first quarter. The Trojans with a fumble on their first possession. The Vikings then turned it over on downs, gave it back to the Trojans, who did pick up 1 first down, but then had to punt themselves. And now the Vikings appear to be going 3 and out as they will start the second quarter with their punt team now going right to left on your cameras, on your screens, excuse me. Other action within Section 8AA this evening. The Warroad Warriors are visiting Park Rapids, and Crookston is Crookston is playing host to Frazee, but that game is actually being played in Moorhead this evening. Last night, Hawley made the trip up to Roseau and came away with a 34-14 victory on Thursday night. We are just about ready to get this second quarter started. And it is that time of year where the sun is starting to set a little earlier. We are at 7:15 right now on the clock, and it's already starting to get quite dusk here, and those lights at Chauncey Martin Field are starting to take over. Just a slight breeze. If you were with us 2 weeks ago, you know that it was a bit of a muggy evening as we got things started on September 1st. A much nicer fall evening, one of those top 10 weather days, if you will, here in Pelican Rapids this evening. The Vikings are ready to punt to start off the second quarter. It's Channing Russman. He will punt from his own 10-yard line. The snap is good. Russman's punt. A spiral that will be caught at the Viking 45 and then tackled immediately. That is number 25 for the Trojans, Asher O'Brien. He will pick up all of 1 yard on that return and will start in Viking territory at the 49-yard line. So a nice punt from Russman and really nice coverage by that Viking punt team. Both defenses looking very stout early on, and you are just wondering which team is going to be the first to break through for that big play. The Trojans now with their first offensive possession of the second quarter. Bredman under center. Takes the snap, and he will give to 45, Ethan Larson. It's going to be a 5-yard gain for the Trojans on first down. That was actually 43. I did have it right the first time. Cameron Halverson on the carry. Halverson, another one of those guys who picked up a touchdown last week. He will head off as number 45, Ethan Larson, heads on for this Trojan offense. Second down and 5. From the Vikings 44, Bredman takes a snap. It is on the floor, and all the Trojans can do is fall on it. That is Larson who is on that fumble, and it is now both teams who have had a muffed snap. This one was not over the head of Bredman, but he could not hold on to that, and the Trojans fortunate to fall on it. That erases their first down play, and it is now 3rd and 10 from the Vikings 49. See if the Vikings can take advantage. We have not seen the Trojans pass yet this evening. I would not be surprised if we see that change on 3rd and long. And it is a pass play. Bredman will run instead, and the Vikings are all over that, brought down by Caden Holt as well as number 70, Jarrett Stetz for the Vikings. He was looking to pass downfield, very quickly saw that there was nothing doing there, and was fortunate to pick up the 3 yards he did on 3rd down before Stetz and Holt brought down Bredman. That brings up 4th down, and the Trojan punt team is on from the Viking 46-yard line, looking to pin the Vikings deep in their territory. That is Paulson and Benson back deep for the Vikings. The punt from Larson, a very nice punt. All Benson can do is call for the fair catch at his 10-yard line. That is where the Vikings will take over. A really nice punt by senior Ethan Larson. And the Vikings will start deep within their own territory. We have 9 minutes, 25 seconds on the clock in this first half. The Vikings have 2 games under their belt, and thus far their leading rusher is Jack Kapinga. He has carried the ball 39 times for the Vikings for a total of 328 yards. He is averaging 8.4 yards a carry and has already tallied 6 touchdowns on this young season. Jack Paulson and McLean Hovland have split that quarterback duty. Paulson, 5 of 10 for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. McLean Hovland, 3 of 6 for 22 yards. The ball is free and fallen on by the Trojans. And on 1st and 10, the Vikings have their largest mistake of the evening, and the Trojans capitalize right away by falling on that. And they will take over in excellent field position with 9 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. It's the second time the ball has hit the grass this evening for the Vikings. They were fortunate to fall on it the first time. They could not do so there, and they cough it up at their own 10-yard line. And the Trojans will have 1st and goal. Bredman with 3 men behind him. Takes the snap, and he gives to Larson, who is up the middle and is in for the Trojan touchdown. He falls forward and is in, reaching at the last second for our first points of this evening. Ethan Larson had a touchdown last week for the Trojans, and here he finds the end zone again. The Trojans also no field goal unit. They go for 2 and stuffed at the line of scrimmage. The Trojans look to Major Ness on that little counter action, and the Vikings are right there. So Barnesville instantly takes advantage of that Viking turnover, scoring on their first play of the drive with Ethan Larson's 10-yard touchdown run. But the Vikings do salvage that by stopping the Trojans on their 2-point conversion. Our scoreboard reads Barnesville 6, Pelican Rapids 0, 9 minutes left in this second quarter. Next week is homecoming week here in Pelican Rapids, and there is a large slate of events here within the Pelican Rapids School District. First, cross country is in Bagley on Tuesday. Boys soccer is home versus Hillcrest also on Tuesday. And if that's not enough of events for you on that Tuesday evening, the Pelican volleyball team plays host to Battle Lake that evening. So you can watch some cross-country action from your phone as you're heading back and forth between Brown Field and Al Siegley Activity Center for those events on Tuesday. And then girls soccer is home on Thursday evening. They play host to Moorhead in their homecoming game before the Vikings round out homecoming week with their home football game next week as they play host to Crookston. Crookston, of course, eliminated the Vikings from the playoffs last year. That is Channing Russman from his own 20. Gets a couple of blocks, and he is all the way up to the Viking 38-yard line. A nice return by junior Channing Russman. And the Vikings are in business up to their own 38. So like I said, a lot of events coming up next week. Homecoming week, always a fun time. Coronation this week will be on Friday afternoon at Pelican Rapids High School. A little change from tradition. Usually it's been on Monday night. That is going to be a Friday event before that home Friday evening football game. The Vikings take over, looking to make amends for that short possession they had just moments ago. Paulson sends Kapinga wide. It is a designed quarterback run, and Paulson will fall forward for 1 yard. Sent Jack Kapinga wide right. Drop back like he was going to pass, and then a designed quarterback run nets Paulson 1 yard, and it'll be 2nd and 9 from the Viking 39-yard line. It is Kapinga again lined up behind Paulson in the shotgun for Pelican Rapids. Benson in motion. Paulson, the ball hits the ground again, and Paulson falls on it. That is the third fumble the Vikings have had early in the first half tonight. Little jittery here. And with that botched handoff, the Vikings lose 3 yards, and it is going to be 3rd down and long. 3rd and 12 from the Vikings' 36. I'd imagine if the Vikings can get about 8 of these 12 yards back, they would probably go for it on 4th down. So they don't have to get everything on this play, but they do need to get some positive yardage. It is Paulson from the shotgun. He looks to pass. He scrambles to his left and now throws deep. He's got Benson on the sideline, and it is instead Miguel Torres who cuts in front of Benson and hauls in the reception for the Vikings. That is a 1st down into Trojan territory. I'll give Paulson credit and say he was intending for that ball to end up in Torres' hands. But the Vikings on that play are now quick to the line of scrimmage. The Trojans trying to sub. A very nice pickup for the Vikings. That's about 26 yards on that toss. Paulson to throw again. Hit as he throws and incomplete. I believe he was looking for Trayvon Benson. And it is 2nd and 10. The Vikings quick to the line of scrimmage, trying to catch the Trojans. Subbing. And now they will be a little slower to the line on 2nd and 10. Paulson from the shotgun. He's got Kapinga to his right. Benson in motion. A bad snap. Paulson just picks it up and will fall forward to get back to the line of scrimmage. Now the 4th time this evening that the Vikings have had a ball on the field. They have managed to recover 3 of them, but they are playing with fire right now. It is 3rd down and 10 from the Vikings 40-yard line. Excuse me, from the Trojan 40-yard line. Unless the Vikings take a big loss here, they are in their 4-down territory. Paulson, look back to pass. Across the middle, he's got a wide open Luke Soley. Soley with the catch, the 5, and he will fall into the end zone for the Vikings score. We are tied. Soley got behind the entire Barnesville secondary, and Paulson found him. And Luke Soley high-stepped his way through a Trojan tackle into the end zone. The Vikings had been largely gaining on the ground, what little they have gained early this game. That possession, 2 huge pass plays. First, the 3rd down conversion to Miguel Torres, and then again on 3rd down, Paulson to Soley. And with 7:39, the Vikings line up for 2. It is Paulson with Benson in motion. He gives to Kapinga up the middle, and Kapinga falls forward. And he is in for the 2-point conversion, and the Vikings have an 8-6 lead with 7:39 to play in the 2nd quarter. What a response from this Vikings offense after turning it over in their own territory, which instantly led to a Barnesville score just moments ago. They now find themselves with a lead at home, 8-6. As many of you listeners who have followed the Vikings know, Jack Paulson is really just filling in at quarterback as senior Timmy Guler is due back from injury next week. He is actually in padded uniform this evening, although not playing. He will be back next week partially against Crookston. But right now the Vikings very, very pleased with the play of Jack Paulson at quarterback. That catch by Luke Soley, his 2nd touchdown of the season. He had basically the nail in the coffin against Breckenridge 2 weeks ago. That is fielded by Larson at his 10, and he will keep an attempted fake to Ness, and he is going backwards now. Forward progress will net him the 15-yard line. It's a 5-yard return for Larson. You do see teams do that at all levels. You'll see that in the NFL sometimes too with 2 men deep. They'll attempt that reverse, and just even the thought of reversing can get the defense caught sleeping enough that they can pick up some extra yardage. That did not happen there. The Vikings were all over it, and the ball is actually going to be spotted at the Trojan 13, just a 3-yard return for Larson. The Trojans take over with a much larger field in front of them than the last time they took over at the Viking 10. A little motion there, and Bredman with the toss out wide. And there's room to run out wide. That is number 25, Asher O'Brien, who has a Trojan first down. You saw Major Ness with a little motion before that play. It's the first time that we've seen any type of movement from the Trojan backfield. And he got out front and was lead blocking for Asher O'Brien with a very nice gain. That's going to be a pickup of about 15 yards up to the Trojan 28, where they have a fresh set of downs, 1st and 10. Bredman again under center. Takes the snap. And a little congestion in the backfield leads to Bredman holding on to it. And still a nice first down pickup of 3. It did kind of seem like a bit of a broken play. Vikings had multiple men in the backfield on that play, kind of blowing up the attempted first down play, but still actually as it spotted a gain of 4 on first down. So it'll be 2nd and 6 for the Trojans from their 31-yard line. Bredman takes the snap. He will give to Major Ness, and Ness will have first down yardage right at the sticks. And it'll be a fresh set of downs yet again for the Trojans now. The Vikings sending Jarrett Stetson, Chris LaFerriere back on. Braden Weiss and Willem Pesch come off the field for the Vikings. 6 minutes to go in the second quarter. It is 8-6 Vikings. We were scoreless at the end of the first quarter. Both offenses more alive as they have been able to settle into this game as we progress through the second quarter. Bredman takes the snap, and he will give to Larson. Larson's feet keep moving. Oh, he had me fooled. Bredman actually had the keep on that. Well, there you go. I've said that it's difficult for this Viking defense to read every single play of the Trojan offense, as they do a good job of selling those fakes, and they got me on that one. As it stands, it is 2nd and 10. Bredman with the snap, and he is back to pass. He's got time and goes deep. Incomplete. Luke Soley on the coverage there for the Vikings. There was a little contact, but it did seem incidental, and it did seem like both guys were getting a little handsy with one another. I believe that was number 82, Brendan Torkeldsen, who was the deep man there for the Trojans. The first pass attempt of the game for Barnesville. And with that incompletion, it is now 3rd and 10 from their own 38-yard line. We are at 5 minutes to play in the second quarter. Bredman will look to pass again. Looked like a designed screen pass, almost taken down in the backfield, and instead is incomplete. And we do have 2 late flags that come in. My assumption is it is going to be a pass interference against the Vikings. That was a near sack in the backfield by number 53, Anthony Checo D'Souza for the Vikings. There are 2 flags, both on each side of the field. 2 fouls on the play. And those penalties will offset. For the Trojans, it was an illegal man downfield. That does tend to happen when you have a screen play that is broken up. Those linemen are set there and ready to go. And if that pass is not on time, you get those linemen downfield. And then for the Vikings, it was pass interference. So those penalties offset. It is 3rd and 10. We run it back again. Now 4:59 to go in this second quarter. A 2-man backfield with O'Brien at the wing back spot. Ness now in motion. He'll go out to the right. And it is a pitch to the right for Larson. It is Mark Kappinga who can't make the tackle. And Larson is pushed out of bounds hard by number 8, Miguel Torres. He has a gain of 8.5. It is going to be 4th down and short. You got to imagine the Trojans are going to keep their offense on, and they will. A really nice 3rd down gain by Larson. It is 4th and 2. Larson is their punt man. And so we'll see what position they do come out, and I'm assuming they're going to go for it, and they will. It is 4th and 1 from the Trojan 47-yard line. The snap and the late give to Larson, and he is right at the line of scrimmage. It's going to depend on the spot from the officials, and as our 2 officials do come forward, it does appear that Larson has enough for a Trojan 1st down, but just barely. The Trojans will maintain possession. The Trojans 1st and 10 from their 49. The clock runs at 4:38 to go in the second quarter. The Vikings kicked off and will get the ball to start the second half, as Bredman goes under center with 3 men in the backfield. He takes the snap and is bumped by his center and will sweep out left where he is tripped up. That is number 83, Justin Jacobson. And all Bredman can do is fall forward right back to the line of scrimmage. That play was slightly off from the start as Bredman took a bump from his center getting pushed back. He faked the toss wide right and then ran that quarterback bootleg out left where he was tripped up by Justin Jacobson of that Viking front line. Second down and 10. Bredman under center, 3 men in the backfield. Takes the snap, gives to Ness this time. Oh, he's got it still, he's keeping. And he is brought down for no gain yet again. He really went all out on selling that keeper to the extent that he actually was moving very slowly as if he didn't have the ball. And by the time he got his legs going again, there was a whole host of Vikings led by number 4, Jack Kappinga, ready to bring him down for a half-yard gain. It is 3rd down and long yet again for the Trojans. This Trojan offense does such a good job of following through on every single fake. That time, the fact that it did look kind of like Bredman was coming up a little slow was the deceptive angle of that play. We are under 3 minutes to go now in the second quarter, and we have whistles. That does appear to be the game's first timeout. That timeout is going to be charged to the Trojans, their first of the game. And at 2:54 to go in the second quarter, the Trojans will come back at midfield with a 3rd down and 9 to go in front of them. It is Pelican Rapids 8, Barnesville 6. The Vikings have been busy this week across the board. Just last night, the Viking volleyball team lost in 5 sets to the Cowboys of Breckenridge, the Cowgirls, I should say, of Breckenridge. The Viking girls soccer team was up in Crookston last night, where they came up shy 4-2. Viking boys soccer was in Crookston on Tuesday night, where they drew 2-2 against Crookston. Viking girls soccer was home Tuesday. They also had a 2-2 draw. That game was against Walker. We are back. It is 3rd and 9 right from midfield. It is Bredman with 3 men in the backfield. And there's early movement. It did appear both sides moved. I want to say it was the Trojan front line that did flinch just a second sooner than the Vikings. And it will be a false start against the Trojans. That'll back them up 5 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 15. Tried to go hard count, gain a couple yards there on 3rd and long, and instead backed themselves up 5 more. 3rd down and a long 14 to go from the Trojan 45. Bredman takes the snap. He will give to Ness up the middle, and Ness gains back about 3 of those penalty yards, and that will bring up 4th down and 11 for Barnesville. And with that play, the Barnesville punt unit does come onto the field. The clock runs 2 minutes, 33 seconds. Coach Beachy, I believe, more than content to let that clock run on the Trojan 4th down. A different game, a different scenario. You could see him maybe calling a timeout to give his offense a little more time, but I do think he's okay with that clock running. That punt, a beautiful punt from Larson that rolls dead at the Viking 4 with 2 minutes and 3 seconds on the clock. Paulson was the lone man back deep there. The Vikings played that cautiously, keeping more men close to the line of scrimmage in case there was a Trojan fake, and it does kind of go against the Vikings there. And the Vikings with a very long field in front of them. The last time they were down in their territory, they coughed it up on their own 10-yard line. They are going to have to be very careful with the ball here. I also wouldn't be surprised that if the Vikings had a small gain on 1st down, that the Trojans might use one of their 2 remaining timeouts. Paulson from the shotgun, his heels on his goal line, takes the snap, and he will give to Kapinga, who will fall forward for half a yard on 1st down. The clock runs. Both teams seem fairly content to head into halftime with an 8-6 score. The Vikings will get the ball to start the second half. And with the addition of those play clocks in both corners of the end zone, I think they are really going to try to play it down low here. If they weren't so pinned in their territory, they might be a little more aggressive, but with just over a minute to go, they're going to let that play clock run all the way down. 3-2. Paulson takes the snap. He will keep, and he's actually got some room to run in front of him. A nice 2nd down run from Paulson. That's going to be a pickup of about 7 yards. And now on 3rd down, the Trojans do use their 2nd timeout of the half to stop the clock at 1 minute and 6 seconds. So if the Vikings do not pick up this 1st down, I can imagine the Trojans will use that 3rd timeout, and the Vikings will have to punt the ball back. Defensively, through 2 games this season, the Vikings are led in solo tackles by junior Jack Kapinga. Junior Channing Russman right behind him with 12, and then a whole host of Vikings with 6 solo tackles. Jack Paulson, Mark Kapinga, Trayvon Benson, and Ethan Schustrom. When you include the assisted tackles, it is actually Channing Russman leading the Vikings with 16.5 total tackles. Jack Kapinga right on his heels with 16 total tackles. Both teams getting set for this 3rd down and short play. The Vikings would love to pick this up and let that 1st half clock run down without having to give the ball back to Barnesville. Paulson under center now, a unique look for the Vikings, who are typically from the shotgun. Attempts to go hard count. And we do have whistles blown, and it's going to be a timeout by the Vikings. So I like that play there from Coach Beachy. He's got 3 timeouts. And in that last time out, I'm sure he told his guys, we're not going to run a play here. We're going to go up there, try the hard count, see if we can't get them to go offsides. And if we do that, well, now our problem is solved, and we can watch that first half clock wind down, knowing full well that if nobody does jump, he'll call one of his 3 timeouts, and now they can have a play set up. I mentioned it before, but it really is just a beautiful evening for football at Chauncey Martin Field. And we are just about ready to finally get this third down play underway. Paulson, he is now out of the shotgun. He takes the snap, gives to Kapinga. Kapinga breaks a tackle, but the ball's on the ground and the Vikings fall on it. Kapinga had a lot of room to run in front of him and was just about to break into the open field when the ball was poked out. It was fallen on by number 71 of the Vikings. That's Chris Lafreniere. And the Vikings very, very fortunate not to give it back there. That would have been the absolute worst case scenario. Instead, like I said, with that first down gain and the clock running now, the Vikings really, really okay letting it wind down. They will have to have one play, and I'm guessing that play will probably just be a quarterback kneel here, as they are still quite deep in their territory. 20 seconds to go in the first half as Paulson takes the snap, and he does just take a knee, and that will get us to halftime. From Pelican Rapids and Chauncey Martin Field, it is Pelican Rapids 8, Barnesville 6. The Trojans got the scoring started in the first half. It was an Ethan Larson 10-yard touchdown run, fresh on the heels of a Vikings turnover. And on the very next possession, the Vikings 2 huge chunk plays. It was a third down pass from Jack Paulson for 26 yards to Miguel Torres, giving the Vikings a fresh set of downs. And then 3 plays later on 3rd and 10, it was a deep touchdown throw from senior Jack Paulson up to senior Luke Soley. This evening, the Vikings honor 23-year football coach and Viking Elementary School staff member Ryan Severson. You see a lot of gray in the stands this evening, both from Pelican Rapids and, respectfully, from Barnesville's fandom. That is to pay respect to Mr. Severson and to join with many other schools this evening who are drawing awareness for cancer. At midfield, you see the Severson family gathering.
Superintendent Brian Cork will now present a plaque that recognizes Ryan's contribution to the Minnesota football team, where he was an assistant from 1995 to 1997, and the Viking football program from 1999 to 2021. The plaque reads, "A coach's worth is not found in their win-loss record or their resume, but on the impact made in the lives of their athletes." Longtime head football coach Dave Haugen was unable to be here tonight, but he sends the following message. Ryan loved Pelican Rapids, the community, the schools, and its sports teams. He had great pride in living here and never missed an opportunity to tell others that they too should live here and send their children to Pelican Rapids schools. Ryan also loved to compete and he loved to win, but he did not need to win in order to enjoy what he was doing. As we move forward and look to honor the memory of Ryan Severson, it doesn't require our team to win, but it does require us to prepare well, play by the rules, take ownership of our mistakes, compete as hard as possible and to the fullest extent of your ability. Then accept the results, whatever they may be. Be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, and wear your orange and black with pride. Thank you to the Severson family for all the support you provided Ryan so he could do what he loved, teach and coach. Please join me now in giving the family of Ryan Severson a hand.
That was Pelican Rapids Vikings PA address man, Glenn Morkey there, and I hope that you were able to pick up that audio. Ryan Severson, like I said, the 23-year coach on the Viking football staff, passed away earlier this summer, right before the start of the upcoming school year. And a really nice moment honoring the Severson family at midfield there. With that, we will give you a couple moment break to catch your breath after a very exciting first half of football. When we come back, it'll be the Vikings set to receive with a 2-point lead on the scoreboard. They lead the Barnesville Trojans 8-6. And we are just about set to get the second half underway from Chauncey Martin Field in Pelican Rapids. It's the Pelican Rapids Vikings playing host to the Barnesville Trojans. Our score stands at 8-6 in favor of the Vikings. It was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter. Right away to start off the second quarter, the Vikings turned it over very, very close to the Trojan end zone, and Barnesville instantly capitalized to put the score at 6-0. Moments later, Paulson found Luke Soley for a 30-plus yard touchdown toss, and Jack Kappinger ran in the two-point conversion, setting our score at 8-6, and it is the Vikings who are set to receive to start off the second half. It's a beautiful night for football. It is the first home game that the Vikings have had the pep band for. The pep band was rocking before the game and at halftime, and both of these fandoms showed up in large numbers tonight, both to cheer on their teams and in support of the Severson family, as you witnessed at halftime of this one. It is Kappinger and Paulson, the two deep men for the Vikings. And the Vikings inching forward just a little bit, maybe wondering if the Trojans are going to come out with a little onside kick action or pooch kick action. Everybody's kind of moved up about 5 yards from where they started. And the Trojans have actually set the tee up on the near side hash instead of in the middle of the field. So we'll see how they come out here. That is number 34, Peyton Amundsen, the senior for the Trojans. And he does kick it deep. That is over towards Paulson's side. He will field at their 15. Tries to get to the near sideline, and he does, and he's up to the Viking, the Viking 37-yard line. That's going to be a return of about 20 yards for Paulson, but there is a flag down at the 35-yard line. Typically on a return like this, you'd imagine that is going to actually go against the Vikings. And it is, in fact, a hold against the Vikings. It's going to be 10 yards back from where the foul occurred, and it appears that the flag was at the 35-yard line, and so that should back the Vikings up to the 25. So the net return there from Paulson, not as good, about a 10-yard return when you factor in the penalty, but still fair field position for the Vikings from their 25. Field position did play a factor in that first half. The couple times the Vikings were pinned deep, it did lead to success for the Trojans, and they will start the second half now from their 25-yard line. It's Paulson who takes the snap, and he will give to Kappinger. Met at the line of scrimmage, and will actually be brought down in the backfield, falling forward to the 25 for a gain of 0 on first down. Paulson again from the shotgun. He's got Jack Kappinger behind him, and Miguel Torres is that wingback in motion. An early snap. Paulson will get it himself, and he can't get back to the line of scrimmage. Looks like a miscommunication there. He was sending Torres in motion, and right as Torres started his motion, the snap came, and so a botched play for the Vikings sends them back 1 yard. Not the start you want from the Vikings if you are the Vikings to start this second half. It is third down and long. And third and long was actually a down that the Vikings did quite a bit of damage on in the first half. A couple of big pass plays. We'll see what they can dial up here on 3rd and 12. It is Benson in motion. Paulson can't handle the snap. And he has it and actually gets back up to the 31. But again, another botched play for the Vikings and a pretty ugly first possession. You'd like to think that their hopes coming out of halftime, with a lot of time to talk about this first possession of the second half, with a lead, they're thinking if we can go put some more points on the board, we put ourselves in a really good spot. And instead, an early penalty, 2 bungled snaps, and it's going to be a 3-and-out punting from their 30-yard line. That is Channing Russman with his heels on his 20. He takes the snap. End-over-end punt from Russman is fielded by Asher O'Brien at the 41 of the Trojans. He will cross midfield, break a tackle from Benson, and eventually be pushed out of bounds by, that is Russman, the punter himself, making the play, joined by senior number 57, Caden Holt. This is going to be the second best field position the Trojans have had. They did score starting at the Viking 10-yard line for their best field position, and they will start the second half with the ball at the Viking 44-yard line. When you throw in that O'Brien return, the net yardage on that punt from Russman is only about 14 yards. 10 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Trojans take over. 1st and 10 from the Viking 44. As we saw in the first half, it is Bredman with 3 men in the backfield. That is Ness, O'Brien, and Larson. And the give is going to go to Larson, and he's going to fall forward for a gain of 3 yards on first down. Larson had that first half touchdown run from the Viking 10-yard line for the Trojans. And they'll give you a lot of different looks out of that backfield, but I would imagine, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would imagine that Ethan Larson is currently leading the Trojans in touches from that backfield. 2nd and 7 from the Viking 41. Bredman checks his men are set, under center. Takes the snap, and it's going to be a dive up the middle, and the Vikings were all over that. That is Asher O'Brien, who picks up maybe a yard. I think he's right back at the line of scrimmage. That's going to set up 3rd down and 7 now. Quick dive play. The Trojans attempted to fake that it was going to be actually a run out wide left, and the Vikings read that very, very well, as O'Brien was only able to gain the line of scrimmage. The bleachers here at Chauncey Martin as full as I have seen them. Barnesville just down the road here. And it is 3rd and 7, a large play here early in the second half. The give goes to Ethan Larson, and he is going to have first down yardage to the left side. They needed 7, and he is going to pick up 9. That seems to have been most of the Trojan offense so far. They haven't really had too many huge chunk plays. It has been 4 yards here, 5 yards here. We'll bust for 10 yards there. And the only drive that ended in points, again, started at the Viking 10. They haven't really been able to sustain a full field drive here. And that is 1st and 10 from the Viking 34. The give again is to Larson. Oh, excuse me, that give goes to 43, Cameron Halverson. And he is up to the 31. That's going to be a small gain of 1, and it's 2nd and 9. Halverson now goes off as Larson comes back on. Those are really the 4 men that you see in the backfield there. It's Ness, Halverson, O'Brien, and Larson. And Ness usually stays out there most of the snaps, and Larson is out there for the most time. You kind of see a couple of those guys shuffling in, but those are some of the stalwarts in the Trojan backfield. Bredman talking to his lineman. Takes the snap here on 2nd and 9. And actually, I got ahead of myself before he could take the snap. That play seemed like it was taking forever to go, and the Trojan backfield flinched. And that false start is going to move them back 5 yards. It's going to be 2nd down and 14. We are now at 7 minutes to go in the in the third quarter. It's been a pretty clean game penalty-wise. There's been a couple here and there on both teams, but nothing that is staggering in favor of one team or the other. But that penalty does push the Trojans back into 2nd down and long. It is 2nd and 14 from the Viking 35-yard line. And another false start there. He was attempting to send Ness in motion, and I think they're going to pick that up. It looked a little off. It was just sending Major Ness in motion, and I think that got the attention of the near side official. It wasn't a typical looking motion, but it was a legal play, and so we'll try it again here, 2nd and 14. We'll see if we see that same action from the Trojans. Instead, it is not. It's going to be a quick dive up the middle to Larson, and Larson breaks multiple tackles on his way to a first down. Boy, Jack Kapminga had a great chance to bring down Larson right at the line of scrimmage. Instead, it is going to be a pickup of at least 14 yards, as on 2nd and 14, Larson picks up the first down for the Trojans in one of their largest plays of the evening. They now have it 1st and 10 right from the Viking 20-yard line. Boy, it did seem that the Vikings did kind of bite on that initial fake that the Trojans had. They've been really good with following the ball all night long, but a lot of the secondary was following Bredman on his fake. Now we see Halverson, the motion man. That's O'Brien, quick to the outside, chased by multiple Vikings, breaks one tackle and will pick up a nice first down gain of 6. That's the senior Asher O'Brien. For the most part, every time you've seen the Trojans use any type of motion this evening, they're going to go the way of that motion. They haven't really tried any counter plays against that. So if you're the Vikings right now, you're probably thinking if you see somebody moving, that's the way you can lean. Not to say that the Trojans don't have another play in their back pocket to play off of that, but it's what we've seen so far tonight. It is 2nd down. And that give is going to go to Larson, who again gets through the first line of scrimmage. It is brought down by 3 men in the Vikings secondary, and he's going to have first down yardage. It is going to be first down and goal for the Trojans from the Viking 9-yard line. Ethan Larson, a very difficult young man to bring down. He is routinely shedding tackles at the line of scrimmage and picking up a large amount of yardage after that initial contact. He will take a seat here as Halverson checks in. It's going to be Ness, O'Brien, and Halverson in that Trojan backfield as they have first and goal from the Viking 9-yard line. It is 8-6. We are down to 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Can this Viking defense bend but not break? It is the handoff going wide to Major Ness. He cuts back and is met by a host of Vikings. He maybe gains 2 on first down. A nice cutback, but he is met very quickly by a whole host of Vikings, led, it looked like, by number 73, Willem Pesch. A nice first down gain there for the Trojans. You just want to have positive yardage plays when you have an and goal situation, and they are now 2nd and goal from their 6-yard line. Bredman with 3 men in the backfield, moves Ness in motion, and he's going to now go right up the middle, and that is Ethan Larson, and the Vikings that time bring Larson down on the first try before he's able to get into the end zone, but he still picks up 3 yards, and it's going to be 3rd down and a long 2 to go for the Trojans. Barnesville is definitely in 2-down territory here. A field goal would give them the lead, but as we saw earlier, when they scored, they did go for 2. Not to say they don't have a field goal unit, but we have not seen it this evening. As it stands, it is 3rd down to go for the Trojans from the Viking 3-yard line, and we have a pre-snap whistle. That's going to be a timeout by the Vikings. Pretty key situation here, and head coach Beachy and his father, the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, are going to talk it over. I mentioned the next week is homecoming for the Vikings. They will play host to Crookston. Again, Crookston bounced the Vikings from the playoffs last year. So not only a homecoming game, but a revenge homecoming game coming up a week from tonight right back here at Chauncey Martin Field. And then 2 weeks from today, the Vikings will head over and take on the Hornets of Frazee. We are cooling off a bit here. It is 63 degrees at present at Chauncey Martin Field. And we are going to have arguably our biggest play of the game. It is 3rd down and goal from the Vikings 3-yard line. The Vikings lead 8-6 against the number 1 ranked Class AA team, the Barnesville Trojans. It is that 3-man backfield, left to right. It is Ness, Halverson, and Larson. Bredman takes the snap, and he's going to give to Ness, and Ness is in the end zone for a Trojan touchdown. And with that, the lead swinging back in favor of the Trojans. As stands right now, it is 12-8 Barnesville. And you got to imagine they're going to line up for the 2-point conversion. And it does appear that the Trojans are going to go for 2 here. A really nice drive. Their longest drive started off with great field position on the punt return from Asher O'Brien, getting them into Vikings territory, and a sustained drive leading to that Ness touchdown. Now the 2-point conversion try. It is Major Ness in motion to the right. They will toss that way. It is Asher O'Brien, and he is going to hurdle his way into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. And with that, the Trojans lead the Vikings 14-8. The clock reads 3 minutes and 26 to go in the 3rd quarter. Back and forth we go. It is the 3rd lead change that we have seen this evening. And the last time the Trojans scored, the Vikings responded immediately with a scoring drive of their own. We will see if they are as resilient here in the 3rd quarter as they were in the first half. Boy, this matchup has done nothing but live up to all the hype and energy that was being felt pregame at Chauncey Martin Field, as the 11-seeded Vikings are giving the top-ranked team in Class AA a run for their money. It is 14-8 in favor of the Trojans, who just got their first lead of the second half and are set to kick off with 3:26 on the scoreboard. The sun has fully set now, and our lights are taking over completely at Chauncey Martin Field. It is Jack Kappinga and Jack Paulson standing at the 10-yard line to receive for the Vikings. Peyton Amundsen set to kick off yet again for the Trojans, his 3rd kick of the evening. And he boots this one deep, a very nice kickoff. Paulson will field at the 15, right up the middle, and brought down at the 27-yard line. A return of 12 for Jack Paulson, and the Vikings will take over, down by 6 from their own 29. Nice job of Paulson running north-south there. It is the 2nd possession the Vikings have had of the second half. The first one, I am guessing they'd prefer we not talk about. It started with a penalty, a couple of botched snaps, and the Vikings were 3 and out. They'll look to respond here. It is Paulson in the shotgun with Jack Kappinga behind him. He takes the snap, gives to Kappinga right up the middle, and Jack Kappinga will pick up 3 yards on first down. Make that 4 yards. It'll be 2nd and 6 for the Vikings. It's Luke Soley and Trayvon Benson wide right for the Vikings as they line up from their own 33-yard line. Paulson takes the snap, and he will give to Kappinga, who's met right at the line of scrimmage. Right away, that was Amundsen. And he slowed down Kappinga enough for a whole host of the other Trojan front line to get into the backfield and mess that play up. It is 3rd down yet again. 3rd and 6 for the Vikings. We are at just under 2.5 minutes to play in the third quarter. Paulson sends Benson in motion, takes the snap, fakes to Benson, and he drops back to pass. He's got Soley over the middle, and it is deflected. Soley looking for a flag and does not get any. I would be interested to see the instant replay of that. We do not live in that world, high school football. As it stands, a very nice play by the Trojan secondary, breaking up that pass to Soley. And the Viking punt unit comes on after their second 3-and-out of the third quarter. Coach Beachy pleading his case to the back judge. Russman on the punt. A nice spiraled punt that takes a Viking bounce and rolls from the Trojan 30 all the way down to the 24-yard line. So a nice punt from Channing Russman. A near 40-yard punt for the junior. And really does his job there. The last time the Vikings punted from roughly that area, Asher O'Brien had the Trojans set up in Viking field, in Viking territory. Now the Trojans will start from their own 23-yard line. A big possession here for the Vikings. They have just given up the lead, looking to get the ball back within one score. If you're the Trojans, a score here sets it at a 2-possession game as the clock winds down, under 2 minutes to go in this third quarter. The give is right up the middle, and again getting through that first front line and keeping his legs moving is Ethan Larson. Excuse me, that is actually going to be Asher O'Brien. Very nice run by Asher O'Brien, keeping his legs moving, as Halverson will check into the game for the Trojans. Gain of 6 on first down. And O'Brien, after carrying about 4 Vikings on his back for some additional yardage that play, will head to the sideline to catch his breath. 1:30 to go in the third quarter. It's Ness, Halverson, and Larson in the Trojan backfield. Bredman under center, takes the snap. This time it is Larson right up the gut, and he will fall forward right at the line of scrimmage. I do think he's going to be a half-yard shot. Nope, instead it's going to be a first down. Right at the sticks, and Larson picks up a first down for the Trojans. We are under a minute to go in the third quarter. Pretty crucial point of this ball game. No momentum on either side in that first quarter. The Trojans picked it up right away at start the second quarter with that first score, and the Vikings really from that point on had the momentum swing towards them. But this third quarter, it has been all Barnesville Trojans as Ness goes in motion. They pitch that direction. It is O'Brien on the sweep, and he is brought down hard by number 4, Jack Kappinga, but not before he picks up a very nice first down gain of 8 yards. And the Trojans do not have to run another play this third quarter if they don't want to, and it does look like they are content to let that third quarter clock run down. The Vikings started the third quarter with the ball, went 3 and out, gave it back to Barnesville, who marched steadily down the field en route to their second touchdown of the game. The Vikings get it back 3 and out again, and the Trojans will start the fourth quarter with the ball, second down from their own 42-yard line. Boy, this game really has lived up to be everything that we wanted it to be and more. Back and forth we go. Especially after last year, the Trojans came in and rocked the Vikings on this field, 43-0. A nice response from the Vikings tonight. And the Trojans looking to keep their current 15-game win streak going, dating back to last season when they ran the table going 13-0 on their way to that Class AA state championship. And the Vikings would love nothing more than to put an end to that on their home field tonight. It's going to be an uphill battle as they start the fourth quarter with the Trojans driving, second down and 8, and trailing by a score of 14-8. The Trojans offense really found something the last time they had the ball, picking up 3 first downs on their way to a touchdown. And they sit at 2nd and 2 from their own 42 here. It's Bredman with 3 men behind him. Ness in motion to the right. Fakes a handoff, and he looks to pass. He's got Halverson over the middle and just overthrows his man. The Vikings closed very hard on Halverson. For a second, he was quite wide open. Ethan Schustrom and Jack Paulson, the 2 safeties for the Vikings, closed very quickly on Halverson. The Trojans don't throw the ball very often, and it's kind of easy to get lulled to sleep in that Vikings secondary. Schustrom and Paulson, a nice job of recovering there, bringing up 3rd down and 2. And not a bad spot to take a shot if you're the Trojans. They've proven pretty successfully that they can pick up 2-3 yards when they want to. So 2nd and 2, not a bad spot to take a shot down the field. It is now 3rd and 2 and a big play for the Viking defense. Bredman takes the snap, right up the middle. And Asher O'Brien, it is an ankle tackle from Paulson that stopped O'Brien from breaking that run off into a likely touchdown. Instead, it is just a 1st down run for O'Brien, and it'll be 1st down and 10 for the Trojans. They are now into Viking territory, taking over at their 48. Fresh set of downs for the Trojans. And they have been picking up consistent positive yardage all second half. Halverson in motion to the left. And now they finally do run a bit of a counter. It's Larson up the middle and a tackle by Ethan Schustrom. I'd mentioned that usually when they do that motion, they are going to run that way. Well, there is that counter off of it. They sent Halverson in motion and then gave to Larson coming back the opposite direction. And a nice tackle from Schustrom. But not before Larson picked up a 1st down gain of 5 yards. It is 2nd and 5 from the Viking 43-yard line. Any points by the Trojans here make the rest of this game very, very difficult for the Vikings to find their path to victory. They're going to need a stop at some point on this drive to give themselves a realistic chance. And a little motion there. The Vikings catch a break as the Trojan front line flinches. We've seen a couple of false start penalties against the Trojans this evening, and that's going to erase that 1st down play from Larson and set up 2nd down and 10. Is that the little break the Vikings defense needs to force the Trojans into a punt? Halverson checks on. Major Ness heads to the sideline. 10:34 to go in the 4th quarter. We are a long way from the final horn in this one, but a very important possession for both teams here. It is 2nd down and 10. Bredman takes the snap, gives right up the middle. That's Asher O'Brien in open field. And if the last time Paulson brought him down with an ankle tackle was saving a touchdown, that one was certainly saving a touchdown. It is a 1st down run for Asher O'Brien. And Jack Paulson with a touchdown-saving run. It appears that there is a Viking cramping near the original line of scrimmage of that play. And I believe that is Trayvon Benson. I'm waiting to see when he stands up, but I'm looking for number 3 out there, and I don't see him. I'm assuming that it is Benson who is cramping. Never mind, it is not Trayvon Benson, so we'll just wait to see who it is when it stands up. It does appear to just be a cramp, though, which doesn't feel good, but in the list of injuries that can stop the play, that's kind of the lowest on the seriousness level there. Viking trainer Nathan Clark out to give some attention to the down Viking. And if I could venture a second guess as to who that is, I'm going to go ahead and guess that it might be Channing Russman now, as I don't see number 11 in that huddle for the Vikings. But I was wrong just a second ago, so we'll see. Regardless, a break in the action here, a timeout for both teams. And if one team needs the timeout now more than the other, it is the Vikings. The score is very close, but the Trojans have controlled pretty much all of the second half, and it was, in fact, Channing Russman who was down for the Vikings, and he will hobble off each step looking a little bit better than the last. does appear that it was just a cramp. Mr. Clark will work with Russman on the sideline, and we'll hopefully see him back on the field in this one. As it stands, the Trojans do take over. It is 1st and 10 from the Vikings' 34-yard line.
First and 10, Barnesville from the Pelican at the 34-yard line.
Bredman maybe changing the play at the line of scrimmage, talking to his guys. He takes the snap, pitches wide left to Major Ness, and he's got the edge. One man to beat is Paulson, and Paulson brings down Ness, but not before another Trojan first down. The Trojans really are getting a little more variety from their play calls here. That time, we saw 2 out of those 3 men in the backfield go to the right. Ness, the only man going to the left, but that's where the ball went, and the Viking defense caught a little flat-footed. It is still a one-possession game, but it is now or never for this Vikings defense as the Trojans are inside the red zone now. 1st and 10 from the Vikings 16. If you're the Trojans, the last thing you want to see here is the ball coughed up free or a ball in the air. And it is Larson with a very strong first down run. He does not have the first down, but he is going to set up 2nd down and short for Barnesville with a gain of 7 on that first down run. We are ticking closer to the 9-minute mark in this 4th quarter. Both teams have had the ball twice. The Vikings 2 3-and-outs. The Trojans scored the first time, and they are driving and attempting to score again here now. 2nd and 3. Bredman takes the snap. He goes Larson again. And Larson breaks through that pile and into the end zone. He disappeared through a wave of Vikings and came out the other side in the end zone. And with that touchdown, the Trojans extend their lead to 20-8 with a 2-point conversion pending. Larson finds the end zone again for the Trojans tonight. And an important 2-point conversion here. The scoreboard reads 20-8 right now with just over 9 minutes to play in this 4th quarter. The Vikings stopped the first 2-point conversion attempt back when it was 6-0, but did not stop them earlier in the 3rd quarter. Bredman from under center, pitches to Major Ness, and Ness is brought down shy of the goal line. That is Justin Jacobson making the tackle, losing his helmet in the process, but stopping the Trojans from picking up those 2 points. We will see if that proves crucial later on in this one. As it stands, the Vikings do seem to be reeling a little bit here. They had that 8-6 halftime lead. The Trojans have responded by putting up 14 points, 8 in the 3rd quarter and 6 thus far in the 4th. The Vikings offense that was making consistent gains in the first half and led to a couple of big pass plays has had a slow start here in the second half. We'll see if they can right the ship as they are set to receive the kickoff following that Trojan touchdown. Again, it's going to be the Jacks back deep for the Vikings, Jack Paulson and Jack Kappinga. That's Peyton Amundsen. Little shorter kick. That's going to be Kappinga from the Viking 20. He's got blockers in front of him and tripped up. If he wasn't tripped up there, I'd like to see where he'd continue running on that play. As it stands, the Vikings are going to take over after a nice 17-yard return from Kappinga. They'll start at their own 37-yard line. And if the Vikings are going to have a shot at coming back here, they're going to have to find points on this possession, something they have not done since the second quarter. It is Paulson who sends Kappinga out wide. A high snap, but Paulson corrals it. Under pressure, and it's thrown and nearly intercepted. That was number 45, Ethan Larson, who just scored for the Trojan offense, and I got to imagine if he had that ball, he would have been scoring in the end zone as it stands. There is a flag down, and there is also a Viking down. I believe that is the quarterback for the Vikings, number 7, Jack Paulson, who was under a lot of pressure from that Trojan front line. It was everything he could do to not have that snap go over his head. He did a nice job of controlling that, but he is down with what again appears to be a cramp. I mentioned a couple of times, Jack Paulson. I'll pause on that thought, as it was, in fact, a holding penalty against the Vikings. The Trojans will accept that penalty, so it'll be first down again for the Vikings. Paulson is up. He's going to have to come out for one play as we see McLean Hovland check back in, but I would guess that we're going to see Paulson back on the field very shortly. My thought before was he is really filling in for the injured Timmy Guler, who the Vikings will have back next week for homecoming. And it is now McLean Hovland who has split quarterback responsibilities in the first 2 games of the season, and he gets it. Little fake, and now he's got Benson up the middle, and he stopped at the line of scrimmage, but a late flag does come in from the far side judge. As it stands, it's going to be second down and long. We'll see if this flag pushes the Vikings back even further. It does appear to be against the Vikings, and we see the officials communicating with the Trojan bench. And I could see the logic going both ways here of whether you accept it or decline it. And it does appear that they're going to accept that penalty. Another hold against the Vikings, and so we're going to go from first and long to first and longer. As the Vikings are looking at first down and 30 to go. This possession that started at their 37 now has them back at their 17 after back-to-back holding penalties. The Vikings going to need some chunk plays here. Their offense has been pretty stagnant in this second half. Jack Paulson back on at quarterback after taking that last play off. Takes the snap, looking to pass, trying to drift it, and that is picked off. He was looking for Benson. Instead, it is picked off by number 33, Avery Schroeder, and he will take that interception all the way into the end zone for a Trojan touchdown. It was Benson that Paulson was looking for, running a little bit of a fade route and a little bit of a miscommunication. Benson did not have his head turned around, potentially a slight underthrow from Paulson. When all is said and done, intercepted by Avery Schroeder, the senior for the Trojans, and brought back into the end zone for the touchdown. There is still 8 minutes and 30 seconds to play, but that already uphill battle for the Vikings now becomes even more difficult as they are down 26-8 as the Trojans will go for their 4th two-point conversion try of the evening, looking to make it 28-8. The handoff is going to go to Halverson, and Halverson reaches across the goal line and is in, and that pushes the Trojan lead to 20. It is 28-8. It was 8-6 at halftime, and the Trojans have responded with 22 unanswered points to push their lead now to 20. Again, with 8 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Talking around the school earlier today and just knowing the section and how it's played out the last couple of years, these two teams, I would say, are the odds-on favorite as we stand right now in week 3 to see each other again down the road in the section championship game, a repeat, potentially, of that section championship game from 2 years ago in 2021. As it stands tonight, the Trojans have controlled the second half, and the Vikings just looking to reach on to something positive right now, as they have had 3 possessions, 2 ending in 3 and outs, and that last one 20 yards backing them up in penalties, and then that pick 6 putting the Trojan lead even further out of hand. It is Kapinga back deep. With Benson filling in for Paulson, and it's going to be Trayvon Benson who fields this kickoff from his 14. Following Kapinga, his lead blocker, he will fall forward to the 31-yard line. A nice 15-yard gain on that return for Benson, and the Vikings will take over again from their 30-yard line. If you're head coach Beachy here, you know that this is going to be a difficult task coming back from 20 points down. But again, with the team that you are hoping to see a month from now, what positivities can you find in this last 8.5 minutes here? It might not be a 20-point comeback, but can you piece together some first downs here and put together a drive, something you have not done so far? Paulson takes the high snap, gives to Kapinga, and Kapinga will pick up 4 yards on first down. And that 4 yards does not seem like much, but it's the first positive play the Vikings have had of the fourth quarter. The Vikings going a little faster here, understanding the urgency of the situation. Paulson with Kapinga behind him, takes the shotgun snap, and he will give to Kapinga again with blockers. And Kapinga's got a first down, and he's almost up to midfield. A very nice second down gain from Kapinga of 13 yards, picking up the first down of the second half for the Vikings. And as if on cue, I said, can the Vikings find something positive? They go back to their leading rusher this season, Jack Kapinga, and he has their first down of the second half. Paulson finds Benson on a little screen route, and Benson's going to have a first down and more. He breaks tackles, and Trayvon Benson is in the open field. He heads towards the far pylon and is brought down from behind by number 43, Cameron Halverson, but a huge first down play from Trayvon Benson on a wide receiver screen. He goes 40-plus yards down inside the Trojan 10. And the Vikings showing signs of life all of a sudden have first down and goal from their 8-yard line. Quick to the line of scrimmage, and so quick, in fact, that we are going to have a timeout called by the Trojan sideline. Well, there you go. Just when it seemed as if the Vikings were about ready to admit defeat, they string together a 4-yard first down gain, a 13-yard second down gain, and then a huge pass play from Paulson to Benson, who gained all of those yards after the catch at the line of scrimmage, setting up first down and goal. The Trojans still in the driver's seat, up 20, but maybe breathing a little more uneasy after this Viking possession. And we will pick up first down and goal. Paulson's got Kapinga behind him, solely wide right, and Benson and Mark Kapinga wide left. He takes the snap, will give to Jack Kapinga, and he is met hard at the line of scrimmage. That is number 75, Justin Kruger, the senior for the Trojans. And he gave Kapinga a good hit right at the line of scrimmage. It's going to be second and goal right from their 5-yard line, it appears. That's Benson in motion to the right. Paulson with the handoff, and he will throw. It's Justin Jacobson in the flat, and Jacobson will walk into the end zone. A very nice block from Mark Kapinga, and Justin Jacobson, who last year lived on the line, moved to tight end this year, gets his first touchdown of the season on the toss from Paulson, his second touchdown throw of the evening. It is a 14-point game, 14-28 as it stands, as the Vikings line up to go for two. Regardless of the outcome of this play, it's going to be a two-possession game, but the Vikings would love to bring this thing down to 12 rather than 14. It is Paulson from the shotgun, takes the snap, gives to Kappinga up the middle, and Kappinga, through a whole rush of Trojans, appears to be brought down just a half a yard shy. So that two-point conversion is no good, and our scoreboard reads 28-14 from Pelican Rapids. The Vikings do respond with points when they desperately needed them. We are at 7 minutes to play as the Vikings are set to kick off. They have really not shown any ability to stop this Trojan offense in the second half, and so you got to wonder if they're going to come out with some type of an onside kick or pooch kick here, knowing they need to score not just once but twice to either tie this game up or potentially take a lead. Justin Jacobson, who just hauled in that touchdown reception for the Vikings, does do the kicking duties and is set to kick off from the 40. It is Larson and Ness back deep for the Trojans, but again, interesting to see if the Vikings come with any type of onside kick pressure here. The Trojans have moved their front two lines forward in anticipation of potential onside kick. Jacobson instead does boot it deep, and a really nice kick if it stays in bounds, but it does in fact go out of bounds at the at the Trojan 15, and so that's going to move the Trojans up to really nice starting field position at their 35-yard line. And I'm just informed from the official a rule I didn't quite know how it's phrased. It's still at the 35, but what they do is the Vikings kicked off from the 40, and so he said it's 25 yards from the spot of the kick, which is the 35. So I guess just an interesting way of phrasing where that ball ended up. All in all, the Vikings are going to need to stop here, something they have not been able to do this second half against the Trojan offense. It is Bredman under center, taking the snap. And right up the middle, a late flag comes in. That was Asher O'Brien on the run. And the flag came in right on contact. When that happens, you usually assume potentially a face mask, but we'll see what our call is on the field. And it does appear it's going to go against the Vikings. An unnecessary roughness penalty against the Vikings. In the crowd of players at the end of that play, I was not able to see exactly what happened, but the far side official clearly had a better view than I did. And that is going to be a 15-yard penalty, already moving the Trojans into Viking territory. The Vikings are going to need a quick stop here as they have to score twice now as the clock under 7 minutes to go in this one. And it's 1st and 10 from the Viking 43-yard line. Letting that play clock wind all the way down is Trojan quarterback Zachary Bredman. He now goes under center as the clock goes to 6 seconds. 3, 2, takes the snap, gives to Larson, and Larson, keeping his feet moving, is still going through the Viking back line and is finally dragged down. What an impressive run from the senior, Ethan Larson. It is eventually Mark Kappinga who drags him down, but not before he has picked up a Trojan first down. At the initial contact, it looked like Larson maybe was going to have a mere 4 yards. Instead, he keeps his feet moving for a huge first down gain, and they are now all the way down to the Viking 25. This Trojan offense has slowly but surely worn the Viking defense down, mustering 6 points only in the first half. They've put up 22 so far in the second half and are threatening to score again deep in Viking territory. It's Bredman again as the play clock grinds down to 1 second. This time it's Halverson on the run, and he is going to be brought down after a gain of 3. That looked like Hayden Holt on the stop for the Vikings. 5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Bredman, it's that sweep to the weak side running back. That is Ness, and he's got first down yardage. That is not a play we saw in the first half, but we've seen them go to that a handful of times this second half to much effect. And Major Ness, the sophomore for the Trojans, has the first down. Under 5 minutes now, and any points here from the Trojans really would be the nail in the coffin for this one. The Vikings in need of a stop. 1st and 10. They can pick up a first down inside the Viking 1. Bredman. It's Larson. He's got the left side edge and brought down after a first down gain of 6 by Luke Soley and Miguel Torres. The clock continues to run here. And with each second, the Trojans closer to the 16th victory in a row, dating back to the start of last season. We are under 4 minutes to go now. It's 2nd down and 2 or 3 yards for a touchdown. And it's actually going to be a quarterback sneak from Bredman, and he falls forward, and I think he has first down yardage. He has snuck in that 1 yard area, and it's going to be 1st and goal for the Trojans from their own 1. The Viking goal line unit is going to head onto the field. That is Jarrett Stetz, Chris Lafreniere, and Willem Pesch. As Benson Torres and Anthony Checo de Souza head off for the Vikings. 3 minutes and 20 seconds to play now in this game. Trojans to the line, the play clock down to 1. The snap goes to Larson, and Larson will spin his way into the end zone for another Trojan touchdown. Larson has found the end zone often this evening for Barnesville, and he finds it again here, pushing the score to 32-14 in favor of the Trojans. 34-14 in favor of the Trojans. The Trojans with a very balanced attack last week. Ness, Halverson, O'Brien, Larson, and I have called those names a lot this evening, but none more so than Ethan Larson. And the Trojans attempting to push this to a 22-point lead. The snap, and it's going to be a pass play from Bredman, lofts into the end zone, and a diving catch is made by, I believe that was Amundsen, Peyton Amundsen, the senior. The first completed pass of this game for the Trojans goes for that 2-point conversion, and our scoreboard reads 36-14 in favor of Barnesville. Just over 3 minutes to play. And if you're the Vikings, this second half has obviously not gone the way you wanted. But if you're looking for improvement upon last year's 43-0 game against Barnesville, you have found it this evening. You know you are going to get your senior quarterback, who has been starting for the last 2 seasons, coming back next week. And yes, a loss at home hurts, especially when you did have a halftime lead. But there really are a lot of positives to take away for this Viking team. And where there are positives for the Vikings, obviously very big positives for this Trojans team that has shown every reason why they are the top-ranked team in Class AA for Minnesota. Faced with a little adversity tonight, down 8-6 at halftime, they have exploded for 30 second-half points. Amundsen, who just held in that 2-point conversion attempt, set to kick off, and he will go line drive kick. That's going to be caught by number 13, Ethan Schustrom, and he will give the Vikings good starting field position up to the 42. That catch not as easy as Ethan Schustrom made it look, that line drive kick that had a little knuckle to it. But Schustrom probably saves the Vikings about 25 yards on that kick, and they'll take over from their own 41. Well, the last time the Vikings had the ball, I said it's an uphill battle, but can you continue to find some offensive success? And that bears repeating here, as there is 2:56 on the clock. Can the Vikings continue to move the ball against this Trojan defense? It is McLean Hovland at quarterback. A very nice throw and catch to Mark Kappinga off his back foot. And a first down gain of 8 yards for the Vikings. So Jack Paulson, who handled quarterbacking duties for the vast majority of this one, threw 2 touchdown passes himself, will give way to McLean Hovland, the sophomore. And Hovland likely handling duties the rest of the way at the quarterback position in this one. He will run himself, and he's got first down yardage. Not quite as good of a mesh point there that Hovland had with Kappinga, but still a nice play from McLean to pick up that Viking first down. We are inching closer to the 2-minute mark in this game. Hovland takes the snap, high snap, and all he can really do now is run with it. Kind of a broken play, but a nice job of Hovland getting some type of positive yardage there. And it's going to be 2nd down and 8 from the Trojan 45. Hovland with Kappinga behind him, 3 wide receivers to his right. Gives to Kappinga. Kappinga's got the first down and is going to be brought down at the Trojan 33-yard line. The chains move. The clock temporarily stops at 1:33. And the Vikings, again, starting to find some offensive rhythm here in the 4th quarter that escaped them in the 3rd quarter. Hovland again gives to Kappinga, and Kappinga will ride the Jacobson block to the 30 for a first down gain of 4. We are nearing 1 minute to go in this game. Vikings trying to put a couple of points up on the board before the clock hits 0. Some whistles from the official. But we're still going to be set to play here. Hovland takes the snap, and he looks to pass, and he goes deep. And a little miscommunication there. A safe pass from Hovland, incomplete. It was Kappinga and solely wide, and I think Hovland just thinking that one of those two was going to continue down that sideline. Despite that incompletion, the clock does still run. I don't think it should be running, and we are going to have a whistle from the official. And I think they're going to have to go back. It's currently at 19 seconds. I think they're going to have to go back and tack on about 20 more seconds to get us back up to 40. 50 seconds. They'll tack another 30 seconds on. It's going to be 3rd down for the Vikings. They need 6 yards to pick up a first down and a clean set of downs. Obviously, 2-down territory. And as soon as we get this scoreboard set, as we do have it now, we'll be ready to go. And Hovland, make sure his men are set takes the snap, and now he looks to pass, and it is going to be number 19 wide left. That is caught, and we're going to have a first down. That is Ethan Eisman, the freshman for the Vikings, on late, and a really nice catch by the freshman and an even more impressive run afterwards to pick up that first down. Again, you just look for these positives late in a game that you kind of know you're going to lose, and right there, a nice positive for the freshman, Ethan Eisman. And with that, a timeout called, I believe, by the Vikings. Their second of the second half. And I like that from Mr. Beachy. Just like I was saying earlier, you're looking to get some positives, and he knows that they have a chance to go get some points up there with a mix of first team and second team and maybe even some third team guys out there. And if you can do that against the top-ranked team in state, you take those opportunities. As Glenn Morkey just said over the PA system, there's going to be another little ceremony at midfield following the game with the Severson family. We'll keep running and bring you that when the clock does hit 0. It is Hovland set to throw, and that is Miguel Torres over the middle. A nice pitch and catch from Hovland to Torres. A couple of sophomores from my 7th hour history class. And it's first and goal for the Vikings from the 5-yard line. Hovland, the give is to Mark Kapinga, and he is met very hard at the line of scrimmage by number 28 of Barnesville, the junior Colin Morey. And the Vikings are going to use a late flag comes in, and we do have Mark Kapinga down. It's one of those things you just want to really see avoided in the late stages of these games, especially when the result is all but determined. And we wish the best for Mark Kapinga as he is currently down being attended to by Nathan Clark. And I am going to assume that with that hit, an unsportsmanlike penalty call is going to give the Vikings a fresh set of downs. Half the distance to the goal is really not going to be much, but it will be first down and goal for the Vikings from about their 3. But right now, the only thing that matters is Mark Kapinga down for the Vikings. And he is up and will walk off with some assistance from Mr. Clark. Really not putting any weight at all on his left foot. Mark Kapinga really has played the entire game, both offensive and defensive for the Vikings. And the Vikings do use their third and final timeout with 17 seconds to go in this one. Looking ahead to next week, the Trojans, I believe, are back at home. They are, in fact, back home for the next 2 weeks as they will play host to the Nuggets from Hawley. And then the following week, they will take on those Warriors from Warroad. For the Vikings, I mentioned a couple of times, homecoming next week. It'll be a very fun Friday evening with the homecoming court against the Crookston Pirates next Friday. We are back 17 seconds. The Vikings trying to punch in one more score before the clock hits 0. It is Hovland. Takes the snap. The give is to Jack Kapinga, and he will fall into the end zone for a Viking touchdown and another late flag. So touchdown Kapinga pending this penalty. And it does appear that it's going to go against the Vikings. The question is going to be, was this penalty after the score had occurred or before? It appears that it was after the touchdown, a dead ball, unsportsmanlike penalty against, that was 57, Caden Holt of the Vikings. And so I do believe those points on the board are going to stand. But the Vikings' 2-point conversion try, maybe they're going to take that penalty on the kickoff. 2-point conversion try is still from the same distance, so I'm guessing the kickoff will be different. Hovland back to throw. Across the middle, and that's complete to Luke Soley. A nice toss from the Viking quarterback, McLean Hovland, to Luke Soley for the 2-point conversion. Our scoreboard reads 36-22 in favor of the Trojans. 16 seconds left to go in this one. The Vikings would love to erase that third quarter from this game as they failed to move the ball at all offensively and gave up the lead to the Trojans. And ever since then, the Trojans have held on to the lead. Defensively, they have not been stopped, the Trojan offense, all second half. But the Viking offense has responded with back-to-back touchdown drives going the length of the field in both situations. All that's left here is to dot the I's and cross the T's on the victory here for the Trojans. And we'll have one more kickoff, this time from deeper in the Viking territory after that unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Kickoff is going to be taken, and just an immediate knee. Smart decision there from number 45, Ethan Larson. And we are one Trojan kneel away from this one being wrapped up. Really hard-fought game that got a little out of hand in the fourth quarter for the Vikings, but a very exciting game start to finish. The offense is really picking up in the second half. You wouldn't believe that this score was 8-6 at halftime. That currently reads 22-36 now. Bredman will take one more snap. And with this knee, the clock will grind down to 0. And with that, the Trojans will improve to 3-0 on the season. A perfect 2-0 in the section and the conference. And the first-ranked team in state will maintain that position as we enter into week 4. For the Vikings, their record falls to 2-1. Their section and conference records now 1-1, and they will look to bounce back next week with homecoming coming in against those Pirates from Crookston. We'd like to thank our student video crew tonight. That is Ibrahim Sarek and Cole Almaris. Our producer, as always, Carrie Haugrud. I am Andy Johnson, thanking you for joining us. I will call it here, but our cameras will continue and bring you this post-game ceremony, again honoring the late longtime Viking coach and PRHS Viking Elementary School teacher, Ryan Severson. We will see you back here next week for Homecoming Friday. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.